afternoon. Okay, so I'm hoping I'm live. As always, I'm going to check over on my iPad, have a little look, and see if I can see what you can see. It seems like a long time since I've done one of these, so I may have forgotten to press something important, so bear with me. I'm just going to lean across the other side of my desk. Okay, let's have a look. There's nothing there. Oh, there I am. That looks like I might be there. Okay, so I'm going to turn the volume right down on my iPad. There we go. Try and prop it up so it doesn't fall over. You can see somebody's there, although I'm not sure who it is, but say hello if you're there. It would be really nice to know who's watching. Wow, oh, it's Belinda. Hi Belinda, lovely to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, I'm trying to get my desk organised. I've forgotten where I put everything. Honestly, you wouldn't think just 2 weeks off would make such a difference, but I feel a bit like, you know, when you go back to school, well, yeah, okay, let's not talk about going back to school, but you know what that's like when you start something that you haven't done for a while and it all feels a little bit strange. I'm a little bit like that today. I've got, I think, everything out on my desk. I've got an awful lot of stuff. I dread to think what my room is going to look like at the end of it, but I feel like I'm feeling my way, so bear with me. If you think I've done something obviously stupid, please type a comment so I can put it right. Mary's here. Hi Mary. I'm hoping that you can hear me okay. I very nearly forgot my microphone, but I remembered at the last minute, so I've clipped it just underneath here, and I'm hoping that that means that you can hear me well. Look to be a little bit close to the lens of my camera, or maybe I've just aged over Christmas, who knows. I look very big and wrinkly on my my iPad screen. Anyway, it's Tuesday, it's the 5th of January, New Year is behind us, and it's another year. Not much seems to have changed in my life. It probably hasn't changed very much in yours either. I'm not going to dwell on the pandemic and lockdown and everything else, but I do want to say that if you're feeling fed up, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling frightened or nervous or angry or any of those things, I think all those emotions are probably playing through all of us at the moment. We are still in very difficult times. I was really looking forward to getting last year done, but I think we've got a few more months of this year to get done as well before things start to really improve. If you are shielding, if you've got people that you worry about because you're caring for them, then my thoughts are with you. Creating, I think, is a really useful thing to be doing at times of stress, at times of uncertainty. There is something magical about making something. If your mojo has completely gone, don't worry. Get on YouTube or Pinterest or scroll through my Facebook page. Find an idea and just copy it. If you haven't got the pink card I used, use a different colour that you do have. If you haven't got my flower stamps, use a butterfly stamp. You can always change things, but you know, pick on other people's ideas to get you started, and I guarantee that you will feel better by the end of it. Difficult times. All right, I can see other people are there. Oh, Belinda says my craft room has overflowed into her dining room. Well, that has to be a good sign, Belinda. Belinda is doing some stamping every week for my wider team, and she's doing a really good job. She's a featured stamper for the month for the big team that I'm a part of, and we're loving seeing her projects, but I do know that it means that you've got a lot of things on the go, Belinda, so I'm not surprised that your craft stash has overflowed a little bit. Mary saying Happy New Year to everyone. Oh, I look and sound fine. Thank you, Mary. Excellent. That's probably the best compliment I've had so far today. It's been one of those days, I tell you. All right, so what have I got planned for you today? Well, I'm going to walk through the new catalogue. I'm not going to say an awful lot about Celebration yet because I'm saving that till tomorrow because I couldn't fit it all into an hour today otherwise. I'm going to show you my favourite things in the new catalogue, talk a little bit about some of them. Some of them I'm featuring later in the week, so some of them I will skip over just a little bit. I'm going to show you a demonstration of how the Many Messages bundle works, so more on that in a minute. I'm going to show you how to make up your make and take card pack, which if you're one of my customers, you will have got inside your catalogue pack. You may have made it up already. I did give you instructions and a photo of a suggested completed project, so you might have skipped ahead of me and done it already, but if not, you can make along with me. All you're going to need really is some glue and a sentiment stamp and a pair of scissors or maybe a punch to cut out something with your sentiment on, and that's it. So very quick and easy. I've actually got two different ones to show you because I sent out a whole variety. They all had different paper. So two of your ones might look like mine. Lots of you it won't look like mine, but it goes together in the same way. I'm also going to show you the new blending brushes, which I'm super excited about. They're just fabulous. And I think that will probably fill up the hour. I've just moved to check I can see my clock over there so I don't witter on too long about this at the beginning. So Lorraine's here. Hi Lorraine. Lorraine says hello to everyone and wishes us a happy new year. Thank you. Belinda says she has got a few projects on. She's loving being the featured stamper and having that and her classes to focus on. It does good things for her. Brilliant. I'm so pleased, Belinda. Yeah. Whether you're sitting making up your own projects or whether you're doing a class, one of mine or one of somebody else's, I think just having something to focus your attention on rather than all the things that we can't do, all the people we can't see, and general worry has to be a good thing, doesn't it? We've got to look after ourselves, we've got to look after our mental health. It's really important. And I will try and bring a little bit of sunshine into your lives this week. So I'm going live at 2 o'clock today and every other day this week. The last one will be on Friday. Friday I normally go live, as you know, at 2 o'clock. So I will be there again on Friday. So yes, today, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 2 o'clock here for about an hour doing new things with you. So I hope that you're going to enjoy that. I know I am. All right, I think what I need to do now is to turn the camera down so that you can see what's on my desk. I've got a few buttons to press. Regulars amongst you will know that. I don't have anything high-tech that switches my camera view, and I only have one camera going, not two. So what that means is I have to cover up the lens with a post-it note so that you don't see everything moving round and round and up and down and end up with motion sickness. So I'm going to cover you over. I'll try and remember to keep talking. Everything will have gone pink. And I'm now going to carefully stand up and avoid, hopefully, knocking everything over that's on my desk. I'm going to move my phone so that it's looking down at my desk instead of up at me. Okay, so I think that's there. Now it's just told me I can't rotate my phone while I'm recording. I wasn't actually trying to, but there you go. I obviously wobbled it in a way that it didn't like. Okay, now I've got to access the settings, which is always a bit of a gamble. Will I knock something accidentally and put some kind of weird frame across the picture? I've done that before. Okay, and I'll just try and get it up to the right height so you can see what I'm doing, but it's not so close that you can't see very much. Okay, so I'm going to take off the pink thing and there will be a little bit more adjusting to do until I'm sure that it's the best I can manage. So bear with me for a couple more minutes. Oh, Gillian, you are lovely. Thank you. Gillian says thank you for my time. It's a pleasure, Gillian. It's lovely to spend time with you. And even though I can't be in the same room as you all, and I really, really wish that I could, this is the next best thing. All right, so I need to move things down and across. Okay, I'll tell you when I think I've got it right, just in case you're looking out of the window rather than looking at all this. All right, I'm nearly there. Right, I think that's as good as I'm going to go. I can't get my camera any higher, so hopefully you'll be able to see enough. Right, so the two things that have happened today are the new mini catalogue, the January to June mini catalogue has launched, and Celebration, which is a 2-month promotion, that has started as well. So I'm very excited about that. If you've got friends that you think might enjoy knowing about this or watching me craft, then do please share this live post this live stream with them, just click that share button on your phone. You can do it now or you can do it afterwards. I'd be super grateful. And if you click the like or the love, then that actually causes Facebook to show it to more people. The Facebook algorithm is a bit of a mystery really, and nobody, even tech experts I know, can really fathom it out, but we do know that that helps. So that really helps me get seen by more people. So if you're able to do either of those things, I would be very grateful indeed. All right, so these two new catalogues then. Celebration I'll talk very briefly about in a minute. I'm just going to talk mostly about the mini catalogue. I've marked my favourite things in here, and I'm not going to spend ages paging through the catalogue. I'm not going to spend ages talking about any one thing in particular, except for my kind of featured bits and pieces today that I'd already mentioned. If you've got a copy of the catalogue, then you might want to dig it out and have it in front of you, because you'll probably be able to see more detail than I'm able to show you. If you don't have a catalogue, then send me a message or drop a comment and I'll happily pop one in the post to you, because it's so much nicer to have a paper version than look at it online. So I'm now allowed to show you inside the catalogue. I wasn't before Christmas, but now I am. So the first page, oh sorry, just that's hit my phone stand, there we go. The first page I'm going to turn to is page 11, and one of my absolute favourite things in this catalogue is the True Love paper. This is at the bottom here. Now I really love to colour. I like to colour with markers, I like to colour with a brush and ink, sort of watercolouring. I like to use watercolour pencils, and now I absolutely love the ink blending brushes. So all of these black and white outlines are just crying out to be coloured. There's lots of floral imagery which I really like, and then there are some background patterns as well. So one side of this paper has got floral imagery in black and white, the other side has got geometric patterns of one sort or another. So even this one with the polka dots, you can ink that, so you can have a polka dot paper in any colour you want. If I ink it red, I've got red with black polka dots and so on. So I just think this is beautiful. Mine hasn't arrived yet, but I'm very excited about it. The larger images, like these flowers or these, are very easy to cut out by hand, so you can apply those on top of your backgrounds, and I just think this paper is going to be really versatile. So that's one that I really do love. What's my next tab? My next tab is page 25. I have talked to you about the Dandy Garden quite a bit already. I did a Facebook Live, I'm trying to think when it was about the maybe the 11th of December, something like that, when I talked through this. So I'm not going to go through absolutely everything, but I will say to you, take a really good look. This is absolutely gorgeous. I'm offering a sampler of some of these products, so if you don't want to have to buy the whole thing, you can spend £10 and then you can get one sheet each of the patterned paper. You can get some of the ladybug trinkets, some of the braided linen trim, some of these beautiful card bases and envelopes, and also a sheet each of card in the featured colours. So you've really got all kinds of bits and pieces that you can then put together. You can add on the stamps if you would like to. There are 2 sets of stamps in this suite, here and here, and there's also a punch and there's some dies. And I'm going to just reach across. I've got these actually stamped out and cut out to show you, just so you can get a closer look at those. Let me move that out of the way. Belinda's saying that she has that black and white paper and it's lovely. Yes, I think it's gorgeous, Belinda. I can't wait. Oops. So this is the Garden Wishes stamp set. I'm just letting my phone, my iPad catch up so you can see. There we go. So there's so much detail on this. It's just beautiful. I wish I could draw like this, but I can't. However, luckily there are stamps. These are the dies that go with the Garden Wishes set. They're beautiful. These here I really like because they make up into a 3D flower like that. If I tilt that sideways, hoping the camera will pick up that layering. So that's the Garden Wishes one, and then the other one is this one here with the dragonflies and the flowers It's just beautiful. They're really lovely. I thought I'd actually stamped this out, but I can't see it. It'll be in my craft room somewhere, so you'll have to make do with the catalogue picture. But seriously, have a look at these. They're beautiful. You're going to see me doing a lot with these. And the Make and Take projects, which I sent out with the catalogues, use this suite. So you'll be seeing me actually make something with those very shortly. So my next favourite is on page 28. Certainly my classes I can't run face-to-face. I haven't been able to run a face-to-face class since before March last year, although I am still running lots of classes online and by post. But one thing people need to do, of course, is to provide their own stamps now. I use a lot of patterned paper and die cuts, but words are always important to stamp on your projects, and I'm not allowed by Stampin' Up to provide you with stamped images. So having a stamped set of sentiments is something that you're all going to need if you don't have them already. And this set, Happy Thoughts, is a really nice one. You've got some of your key things. You've got happy birthday, thinking of you, congratulations and thank you. So real basics. Those will cover you for, you know, pretty much any card you're going to want to make. And then there are some phrases here which are really nice to either make a feature of on the front or to put inside. They're a little bit more flowery than your plain ones, but it's nice to have both options in one set. So I think that's a lovely stamp set. My next page is page 31. So this is the Pretty Perennials bundle. And these I've also stamped out and die cut for you. So I'll show you those because I think sometimes that gives you a better idea than actually in the catalogue. So these are the stamps stamped out. I'm going to have to move this up and down, I think. I'm not sure if I can get it all on screen at once. I have to wait for my iPad to catch up. I might be able to if I move it right down like that. Let's see how that is. So you've got flowers and you've got leaves. I've stamped the flowers in flamingo and the leaves in olive. This one here is a bit of both. I decided I would stamp it in green, and these could be leaves or they could be coloured to be flowers. This image here is a two-step stamped one. So you've got this little stem image here and this one here, and you stamp your stems and then you fit this over the top, which sounds a little bit daunting, but actually it just nestles into these gaps in the stem beautifully. This center bud here or flower, you just have to watch that and just get it there into the gap in that central part, and then everything else just sits where it needs to, and all these little stems just line up with a flower. It's one of the easiest to line up two-step stamping images that I've ever used, so it's lovely. For this flower and this leaf and also this little pair of leaves here, you get a line art image and a shaded image in each case, and you can use them separately or you can stamp one over the other. So here I've stamped the line art and then I've coloured it in using the shading image, and you can either use different colours for the two images, or you can use the same colour for the shading one, but just stamp it off on scrap paper first so there's less ink on the stamp when you come to then stamp it over your outline. And that's what I've done here. So I've used Old Olive in both cases, and I've used Flirty Flamingo here. So I really like these. They look great on their own, but they look really nice when you do two-step stamping with them as well. And then I like this big Happy. I featured this in one of my lives, I think the last but one before Christmas again. So Happy goes with sending lots of happy, you make me happy, happy birthday, happy mail, or happy for you. And of course for you can be used just on its own in any case. So I think this is just a lovely set. The dies are great too. You've got dies which cut out a lot of those images that I've just been showing you, cut out the stamped images. And you can layer these up to make 3D flowers and so on. And then this is them all just cut out in black with no stamping at all. So you can see that these all cut out the stamped images, although some of them, the flowers for instance, I think look great just cut from plain card. They would work with no stamping at all. But then you have these beautiful lacy detailed dies as well, which you can use on their own, or you can layer them on top of some of the stamped images. And there are some samples in the catalogue where they've done exactly that. So if I move those three out of the way and come back to my catalogue, these two cards here, for instance, they've stamped and die cut the solid flowers, and then they've layered those lacy, almost like line art but die cut flowers over the top. I'm hoping that makes sense. If you've got the catalogue in front of you, it certainly will. So I think this is a beautiful, beautiful bundle. You want them both. You don't want to just get the stamps or just get the dies. Definitely get the bundle, because you'll save 10% then anyway. So I really like that one. I've got a card here that I've made using it, which is really just very straightforward stamping. My ribbon's got, oops, a little bit coggled there. Hopefully that's, yes, you can see that. So all I did here was I put a piece of post-it note over the front of my card just to blank off a space, and then I stamped all over it with those images using nice bright cheerful colours. And then I peeled off the post-it note, which left the area that it had been masking, and then I stamped the words inside, and then I just popped around a piece of coordinating ribbon. So this is completely flat, other than the ribbon. If I took the ribbon off, that's a completely flat card, very easy to post. It's only ink and paper. Certainly I added some ribbon, but you don't have to. And it just shows you what you can make very, very easily with this set. That's just one sample. I really like it. And it looks so pretty stamped around the flap of an envelope as well. So that's my matching envelope for this card. Belinda's saying very pretty card. Thank you, Belinda. All right. This is probably, well, I was going to say this is probably my favourite Sweet and Whole catalogue. I may well have said that about the dragonflies. And I should probably be saying about another one in a minute. But anyway, I do love this. This is the Fine Art Floral Suite. It's got these beautiful painted flowers. The patterned paper is stunning. There are some gorgeous gold overlays. And the gold leafing, wow, stunning. Now I'm going to talk a lot about this on Friday. So bookmark that for now. And come back on Friday at 2 o'clock. And I will show you all about that. Show you everything about this. In May, I'll be putting together a sweet sampler with this, with various bits and pieces put together to save you having to buy the whole suite. So yeah, that's something that you're going to want to come back on Friday for. I'm going to show you this in a lot more detail in a minute. This is the Many Messages bundle on page 35. It's a large stamp and a large die. And I'm not going to say any more than that, but that is just brilliant. It's genius. I've never seen one like this before, and I'm just going to be using it and using it. So this is my other favourite. So I've got three absolute favourites. This is the Sand and Sea Suite on page 40. I'm just going to have some of my tea. Oh, that's better. Right. I love the beach. I live very close to the coast. From my front garden I can see the Solent and the Isle of Wight. And a sandy beach is my idea of heaven. So the Sand and Sea Suite really is my kind of thing, and this is so pretty. I'm doing an all-day class in March, and this is the suite that we're going to be featuring for that class in readiness for the summer. And it's also going to be my suite sampler for April. And on Thursday at 2 o'clock, I will be working with this. So if you'd like to see a little bit more about how these things work together, then come here on Thursday. So this is page 59. This is the Enjoy the Moment set. I think this is just beautiful. Let me move that tab so you can see the whole thing. There we go. There are a whole series of sketched seed heads and seed pods and fruits, and I really think they're beautiful. They've got a real botanical look to them, and then there are also some words scattered around there as well. We've got a happy birthday, fabulous, always useful to have that, a little note, enjoy the moment, and then a couple of other things as well. And there's some really pretty samples here, some with just simple stamping and some with the images really coloured in and cut out. I think that's a beautiful set. It would work equally well for men's cards or others. And I just think this is just so beautiful. I will be using that quite a lot this year, I think. So Belinda's saying, oh, she was going to ask me about the gold leaf, and she's been practicing and she's doing well at getting it everywhere except where she wants it. Okay, Belinda, we'll be talking about that later in the week. All right, so this is page 65. This is the Oval Occasions bundle here, and particularly the double oval punch. This is a great punch because it punches a plain edged oval and a scallop edge oval all in one go. You can just punch one if that's what you want. You'll just put a narrower strip of card in, but if you want to get two, you can. And they are sized to layer perfectly together. So if I lift up that illustration, hopefully you can see here or here, they just layer beautifully together. So it's super quick. I'm a great fan of the die cutting machine, but punching can be very much quicker for something like this. So I'm delighted that we've got a punch that punches out those two ovals. And this stamp set here is sized to exactly fit those ovals. So it makes a really nice bundle. You're going to save 10% if you buy the two together. So it's always worth knowing that about bundles. All right, page 70. I've just marked this because this has got the blending brushes for blending ink on it, and I'm going to be showing you those in action very shortly. These are fantastic, absolutely wonderful. So if you like ink blending, you're going to love these, and if you've ever struggled with sponges or finger daubers, you're really going to like these. They're absolutely beautiful. All right, so this is page 73, and this was just to remind me to remind you that there are a few things from the autumn and winter catalogue that have carried over, and you can still order. If you would like a list of those, let me know and I can just email one out to you. These are some of them featuring here, but there are a few more as well. So just let me know if you would like a list for those, the things that have carried over and can still be ordered. And then this is also a reminder to me to tell you that our new Stampin' Up! Cut and embossing machines are available. So it's called the Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and there is a mini and there's a standard. So this is the mini one here and the standard one here. They've been in the annual catalogue since that catalogue launched last year, but neither of them were available at that time. Then this one became available, and now the mini one is available too. I don't have either of them, I have to be honest with you, because I have two big shots which are still going strong. So much as I'm really tempted, I can't actually justify buying myself a new machine yet. But I do know a lot of people who've got them, and they say they cut beautifully, and what they really like is that their footprint on your desk is so much smaller, because I don't know if you can see from this picture, but the cutting platforms fold up. So they then take up a lot less room. The only footprint is this main part here. They're very solidly built, and people are very, very happy with them. We're going to have several extra kind of fancy plates to go with them, but at the moment those haven't come through yet, but there will be more plates to go with them so that you'll be able to get one that will allow you to emboss with your cutting dies. There will be a magnetic plate and so on. At the moment it just comes with all the plates you'll need to do die cutting and embossing, but those are now available should you so wish. And that is all my highlights of the catalogue. So if you've got any questions, type them in, but otherwise I will move on and just very briefly remind you that Celebration, which is a promotion we have every year, has started, and it's running through to the end of February. Now, if you're an old hand at Stamping Up, you will know that normally it runs to the end of March, but not this time. We've got 2 months instead of 3. The brochure is also slightly thinner because, first of all, we've only got 2 months instead of 3, and secondly, because this time of year is Chinese New Year, and a lot of our ribbons and embellishments are made in China, and the problem we have had year on year on year is something will be unexpectedly popular and our stock depletes, And when it runs out in the warehouse, we can't get a rush order shipped over because China has shut down for a month for Chinese New Year. The factories close and pretty much nothing happens in China while they celebrate Chinese New Year. So Stampin' Up! Are trying out this year by just having things in here which they manufacture in the US. And in fact, the stamps are manufactured by Stampin' Up! In their own factory, so they can turn around new stamps very, very quickly. Also, the pattern papers they can get to us very quickly. So the brochure for Celebration this year, if you're thinking it looks a little bit different, that's the two reasons why. Now, although we've only got 2 months of Celebration now, it is coming back in the summer for 2 months, so that is great. There'll be new things in the summer. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm excited that we'll get it again in the summer. So don't feel deprived that there's only 2 months of it now. So everything in this brochure you cannot buy, but you can get free. So free is good in my book. I love free things. The basic premise of Celebration is that you can get free things in 3 ways. Either by buying, placing an order yourself, or buying from me, or by placing a large order, which you might well get by getting together with family and friends, and they order a few things and you order a few things, and altogether that adds up to a £275 order. There's something extra for free then. Or by joining Stampin' Up! There are so many good reasons to join Stampin' Up! And one of them is getting lots and lots of free products. So I'm going to talk about all those things a lot more tomorrow. But if you've got one of these Celebration brochures, there are some very, very pretty things in here. So do have a look. If you haven't got one and you'd like one, let me know and I'll pop one in the post to you. And I'm now going to put that away and button my lip and not talk about it anymore. All right, so I'm just going to move some of these things that I've had out, make myself a little bit of space to see if there's any questions. Haven't been any comments for a while, so you've probably just been watching and listening. So I'm going to bring in my many messages bundle here. So these are available as a die set, as a stamp set, or as a bundle together. They work particularly well as a pairing, so save your 10%, get the bundle. The first thing to say is that the image on the front of the box is only shown at 80%, so these are not as large as they actually are in real life. If I open that up and take out this, you can see it's one very large stamp. And if I put that here, you can hopefully see that these are larger than on the box. So this is a really big stamp. So to use a really big stamp, you've got 2 options. You either need a really big block. This is an F block, and this fits on there perfectly. If you've got small hands or you have difficulty in holding something that large, then you can use your Stamparatus, which is what I'm going to do shortly. The other thing about this is you could actually perform surgery and cut all these little words apart. If you don't think you're ever going to want it as one large set, if you don't think you're going to use it with the die, or you don't have a die cutting machine and don't want a die cutting machine, then you can buy this and you can cut these apart and just use them as individual stamps. So you've got lots and lots and lots of words and phrases and sentiments. Pretty much everything you will ever need is here. So you can cut them all apart. So you can just have a stamp that says happy birthday, or just one that says happy anniversary, for instance. So that's something that you can do with these. However, you can also use these stamps as an individual image, just by inking the thing you need. You can either use a stamping spot. Those are the tiny little ink pads. Some of our kits have them in, and we also have some in the catalogue which are uninked, and so you can just add re-inker to them and make a little mini ink pad of whatever colour you like. If you need more information on that, let me know. That's small enough that you can get it in and just ink one of these, or you can use a Stampin' Right marker. So those are water-based markers. Let me see if I can reach one. There we go. These markers, and you can just take the brush tip and colour over the part of the image that you want, and then stamp it, and then only that one will actually stamp out, because that's the only one you've put ink on. So if you only want one of these, that's a way of doing it as well without actually cutting up your stamps. Right, so I'm going to move that box out of the way and just show you the die for a moment. Pull that out. There we are. So this is the die. Now this cuts out a whole series of shapes, so you can use the die on its own to cut out labels for you to then use as decorations or banners or to stamp your own words on. But it will also perfectly match this stamp, and it will cut out each one of these with its own shape, and I'll show you how that works in just a moment. You may have noticed on here that you've got a heart and a star there and a star there and there. When you come to line this up over a stamped image, that's, let me put it up that way, there we are, that's what I am actually looking for. I'm looking to line up those shapes, and I know that if I've got those lined up exactly underneath my die, everything else is going to work and cut out exactly as I want it. So that's my top tip for lining this up. And now what I'm going to do is bring in my Stamparatus and actually stamp the image and die cut it and show you. Alright, so I've got some white card here. I need a magnet, that's on the underneath of my Stamparatus. If you haven't got one of these or haven't seen one of these, I'm just going to put my light on. Actually, I've forgotten to do that. There we go. Let's see if that makes things a little bit better. It's a stamp positioning tool, but it also is brilliant for helping you stamp with very large images or any image that you find particularly tricky to stamp with, because you can get a second go at stamping it if it doesn't come out clearly first time. So sometimes big images are difficult just because of the amount of pressure you need to put on them to get them to actually stamp. Now I may need to stamp without a magnet because this is such a big stamp, but let's see. No, I think I'll be all right. All right, so that's going to fit on there. So I've put my card in and I've held it in place with a magnet. I'm now going to lay this stamp over the top of my card where I want it to go, and then this plate here hinges over the top. Let me just pull that down a minute. There we go. So that's hinged here, and that just hinges down, and when I press it onto my stamp, that sticky label will attach itself to the plate there. So now it's as if I'd got a very large stamp block, but I haven't got to hold it. So the next thing to do is to ink my stamp. I've got basic grey here, and I like to put something underneath the plate just to hold it horizontally so it's not tipped down. Let's put that block under there. There we are. That just helps avoid stressing the hinges as I put pressure on it and ink it. So I'm just going to tap my ink pad all over to ink up the stamp. I'm moving things all over the place to try and keep it in shot for you. There we go. So I'm now going to hinge over that plate and drop my stamp down, and then I can take as long as I like pressing down on the stamp to make really good contact. I'm not having to hold it. I do have arthritis in my fingers, so sometimes holding a really big block is tricky, and depending on what your hands are like, you can press with your fists, or you can press with your palms, or you can press with your fingertips. So you've got much more control over how you have to use your hands with the Stamparatus. So now I'm going to lift that up. There we go, and I have a perfect impression. If I didn't have a good image here, if I had a gap, let's say, where I hadn't pressed enough, all I need to do is just drop that plate down again and press again, because the stamp is going to hit the paper in exactly the same place as it did before, and ink that was on the stamp and didn't transfer is then going to transfer second time round. And if I was using a pale colour and I wanted it darker, I could re-ink my stamp and re-stamp it, knowing that it was all going to go down in exactly the same place, and put effectively a second coat of ink onto my image, which would make that pale colour stronger. So that's just a couple of brilliant things that you can do with the Stamparatus. So I'm going to take out my card. I'm going to put my magnet back on the bottom so it doesn't get lost. And then I'm going to put this out of the way and bring in my die cutting machine. Which is quite interesting because I've got leads and all sorts in the way, which you can't see, but I can. All right, shut up my ink pad so I don't lean on it. Which way should we go? Let's take it out this way. Now, ideally, I would have my camera up a lot higher to show you this, so I do know that this isn't the world's best picture, but I'm hoping that I will be able to show you how this matches up. So I've got my stamped cards sitting here on the platform. I've got the die here, and I'm going to line up the heart and these stars with the die. If you could see me, I've got one arm wrapped around my camera stand to get it in the right place, and another one wrapped around my microphone cables. So it's quite entertaining here. Alrighty. So I'm hoping that you can see that this heart and the star and this star and that star, they're all lined up, so I haven't worried about where the words are at all. I'm just lining up these little images here, and then I'm going to pop the plate on the top. I've got my magnetic platform in, so even though I knocked it a little bit then, it didn't matter. And then I'm just going to wind it through, which I'm doing in a very back to front way to how I normally do it. So, oh gosh, I'm very slow and looking probably very awkward. I've hit the camera. There we go. This is live, you see. There's no editing on this at all. What you see is what's happening in my craft room. There we go. It's a noisy die to cut because there's so many sections to it. But what I will do now is just move my machine out of the way, which will give me some space. And then I can show you what has been cut. Here we are. So you can see that every single one of these shapes has been cut. So look at all these messages I have. I've just dropped one on the floor, but never mind. So there are so many little labels here. So if you've got a wet afternoon, you could sit down and cut a whole load of these. One idea I've seen is putting them into like a fishing tackle box or an embellishment box with lots of little divided sections. So you could stamp them in lots of different colours, cut them out, stamp them on different coloured card even, and then you would have all your messages ready-made for when you needed them. It's that little heart. There's a star there. I've got a couple of them still in here. That's the other star. Let's just push out that final tiny star. There we are. So that is what this die can do, and the stamp set. So there's one of them missing, which has gone on my floor somewhere, but I do think this is just fantastic. You've got a sentiment for every occasion. And just the last thing I'll show you is what you can do with the waste from that once you've cut it. So this one here is a bit sad because I cut it very skimpy, so it's actually come to pieces at the side. Let me show you one that I cut from a larger piece of card. So these are all the shapes cut out, and what I can do then is I can bring in another one of my sentiments sets. So this is Peaceful Moments, and I can put this over the top and see which words will fit where. So let's say I want that happy birthday. Will it fit in this shape? Yes, it will. Will it fit in that one? Oh, actually it will. I didn't think it was going to. That one's going to be too small, but it will fit in that one. So do you see what I mean? You can lay this over any of your sentiment sets and see which of them will work for a label. So you could then have some of these cut from plain card and then just stamp onto the label, or equally you could stamp one of your other sentiments onto card and then lay the die on top of your card with the shape you want over your stamped sentiment and then cut that out. So I just think this is fabulous. It's really innovative and I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. So I'm going to set that aside as well. And I'm now going to show you how to make up your make and take kit. So if you had a catalogue pack from me and you haven't made your card, pull that out now. I'm just trying to reach into my little bag of tricks here. All right, so I've got two here. This one here, I have actually got a sentiment in here. So I did take one of those that I've just stamped for you from that set there. This is another pack. This is how you will have received yours, which is with a piece of plain card in it, and your card may be a different size and shape because I just used up my bits and pieces, but that's so that you can stamp your own sentiment on it. So I'll lay that one together for you in a minute, but this is the one that I'm going to put together now. So you have a card base, and inside that I've put a piece of card for your insert, so I'm going to set that aside for the moment. And your card may be a different colour and your patterned paper may be different to mine, but it's all from the the Dandy Garden suite. Sorry, so this beautiful paper featuring dragonflies and dandelions is just so lovely. The images look a little bit as if they've been screen printed. So all you're going to do is layer your patterned paper onto the piece of coloured card, which I've given you to coordinate nicely, and then that layers straight onto the card base. So this is not a difficult card. If you happen to be somebody that hasn't done much card making, it should be straightforward for you to put together, but I hope it's pretty enough that if you are a veteran card maker, you will enjoy it nonetheless. Then I've given you a die cut oval. Again, yours may not be bumblebee, yours may be a different colour depending on what your pattern paper is like, and you can play around with where you put that. You could, of course, I've made mine a portrait card, so I always make the distance at the bottom a little bit greater than the distance at the top, a bit like when you frame a picture. But if you prefer to have a landscape card, some of the designs will work this way, some of the paper designs won't. Then of course you could do it that way, and you would make sure that that was absolutely central. And I didn't show you the other side of that paper, I should have done. But if I show you this other pack I had out, this one's got blue on it and this one's got coral on it. So do have a look at both sides and see which one you'd like to use. You've also got a punched dragonfly. So I have actually used the dragonfly punch to punch this out from some of the patterned paper in the same pack as you have a piece of here. So again, your dragonfly may be a different colour to mine, but it will coordinate with whatever you've got. So I'm just going to pop my dragonfly down. I've designed this as a flat card because sometimes it's just nice to have a card that you're not going to have to put a large letter stamp on. But you could go wild with dimensionals if you don't mind putting on a large stamp, or if you can, I was going to say hand deliver it to somebody, depending on when you want to send it. You may or may not be able to hand deliver it to somebody. And you can play around with where you want to put your dragonfly. I knew I had this little sentiment here, like a little postage stamp that I wanted to put there. But you'll want to think about your sentiment. You might cut a banner that you're going to put maybe across here. And you might want to put your dragonfly somewhere slightly different. That's entirely up to you. But the only stamping you're going to have to do is going to be for your sentiment. And of course you could go without a sentiment at all. It doesn't have to have a sentiment on it. You could just move your dragonfly slightly more centrally and call that done. So there, that is my card. So it's very, very quick to put together. And I'm just going to quickly bring in this one here and make this one up, just so I've done two different ones. Ooh, I completely forgot my insert. I'll show you the insert on this one. So this one is blue and yellow. So it's Bumblebee and Misty Moonlight. So I am going to use the blue rather than the coral side of the paper. There we go. So this is the same but different to the card I've just made. And actually when I'm making cards, this is something that I quite often do. I quite often hit on a design and then I might make several in different colours but using the same kind of plan, if you like. So something I do is I keep a little book with sketches in. So here I've got a rectangular card base, then I've got a rectangular layer on it and another rectangular layer. So if I was sketching that out, let me see if I can find a pencil. I can. So in my notebook I would write this out something like this. My card base, then I've got a layer, and I don't do these to scale, they're just to remind me really, and then I've got another layer. So my notebook, I would draw those out. If I put that next to it, I hope you can make some sense of that. Then I'm going to put my oval in the middle as I did before. So on my sketch I would sketch an oval, and then let's put this one more centrally, and I will probably pull one of those sentiments that I stamped and die cut just now from the many messages. Let's put the dragonfly there, and let me see if I can find a sentiment. I've just thrown most of them on the floor, but not to worry. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to lay this on like that. So I could put this particular sentiment there, but I could take any of those sentiments and add them in here. So you can see that if you've got a whole box of them, you actually can make up cards, and then you can play around with adding a sentiment. And it's a real time saver to have them all stamped ready. And of course, my insert inside, so I can stamp a sentiment on that, glue that inside, and then that gives me something pale to attach and do my writing on. So going back to my sketch, I can't draw a dragonfly. I might draw a semblance of a dragonfly just to remind me that I put something in here like that. And then I usually do a squiggly line to remind me to put a sentiment in. So that's what I would put in my sketchbook. And the next time I'm thinking, I don't know quite where to start with a card, I flip through my sketchbook and I might find this sketch and think, oh, that's nice. I don't want to do a dragonfly. I'd like to do a butterfly though. So I'll substitute a butterfly for my dragonfly. I can copy exactly these layers. This one might be embossed card maybe next time instead of patterned paper. Or I might emboss this layer. I could make this layer much bigger so it almost extended to the edges, and I could make this one smaller. I could turn this oval, instead of an oval, have it as a rectangle. I could have it as a circle. I could take my sentiment onto a piece of card and put it down here. So that really becomes a jumping off point for me, and every time I do a card that I liked, I just reduce it to very simple shapes in my sketchbook and keep it, and then when I don't know where to start, that's where I go to give me an idea as a jumping off point. And if I see a card that somebody else has made that I really like, I very often reduce it to a very simple sketch like this, and then I can use it and feel that I'm creating my own card rather than just copying somebody else. Sometimes I do copy others because people create beautiful things, but it's quite nice to not have to. So I'm hoping that makes sense as a concept. And I'm just going to move all of this out of the way and come on to the last thing I wanted to do for you today, which is demonstrating the blender brushes to you. Okay, so Ruth is here. Hi, Ruth. You couldn't get the video on your laptop. Will I download the session so you can look later and catch up, please? Yes, absolutely I will, Ruth. So once I've finished If you give it 5 minutes, you will be able to go to my Handmade at Home Facebook page and just press play on the video there if you want to. Alternatively, you'll be able to go to my YouTube channel, which is also called Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman. Everything I do is called Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman. So you'll be able to go to my YouTube channel and the video will be there. The process for that is I have to download it from Facebook onto my computer and then upload it to YouTube. Sometimes that's very quick and just takes me 15 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2 hours. It just depends, first of all, how busy YouTube is for having videos uploaded to it, and how fast my internet connection is at the moment. My husband is on Zoom calls all day today, so we're competing for the bandwidth. I think that's the phrase they use, isn't it? But that will be there. I hope that will be there by about 5 o'clock. So have a look later today or have a look tomorrow. I will also be putting the live videos from this week into a playlist on YouTube. So when you go to my channel, there is a button you can click on called playlists, and there will be a playlist there which has all the videos for the launch of this particular catalogue, so you can play them one after another and know that you'll just be looking at things that feature in the new catalogue. So sometimes that helps people to find things too. So I hope that answers your question all right, Ruth. So Mary's saying she really likes the sketchbook I did. Good, Mary, give it a go. I hope you find it handy. And Belinda says that she uses it too. Yes, I show a lot of people what I do. I just find it's really helpful. Right, I'm having more tea there. I seem to have been talking a lot today. No surprise there. Right, last thing then is the blending brushes. So I showed you those in the catalogue. I'm just going to reach down on my floor and grab them. All right, now these are like nothing I had ever seen before, although I think they have been around for a while. I just haven't ever had any. I've got friends who have them and have used them, but I had a sneaky feeling that Stampin' Up were going to come out with them. I wasn't told they would. It just seemed to me like something that would work really, really well in their product range, and so I didn't buy any. And lo and behold, Stampin' Up have brought some out. So here we are. I've just lined up all the bits and pieces that I needed. Okay, right, so these are the blending brushes. So when you order these, you get 3 in a set. And they have lovely white bristles. And if I hold this up and kind of run my finger over it, I don't know if you can see that they are really, really, really fine fibres, and the shape of the brush has a dome on it. I believe they're also sold for applying cosmetics, but these are specifically designed for applying ink, and they are completely white when you get them. However, as you can see, I've been playing with mine, so mine are not completely white anymore, and they will get progressively more and more inky as time goes on, and that's fine. I think you can wash them. Somebody's told me you can, but I haven't had a go. But if I was going to, I would just use some warm water and some soap or gentle washing up liquid and carefully do them under the tap and then allow them to air dry, but I haven't found that's necessary yet. I am putting a little bit of punched out card on the back of mine to remind me that this is the one I'm going to use for oranges, this is the one I'm going to use for purples, and so on. I'm going to use these a lot, so for me it was worth investing in quite a few and having them for colours in general. But I'm not saying, well, this is my one for pumpkin pie and then I'll have another one for calypso coral. So all my oranges will be done with this brush. When I finish using it, I can just rub it on my grid paper, and as you can see, I can get rid of the excess ink. There's actually nothing coming off this at all, so I'm not going to contaminate the next ink pad I use, even if it's not the same orange that I used last time. I love them. They've got a nice weight to them. They're comfortable to hold. This is broad enough that you've got plenty to grip. And this narrow neck here means they are quite springy. I don't know if you can see, that does bend quite easily. I haven't bent it all the way back for obvious reasons, but it does mean that it's comfortable to use, and you can hold it towards the end of the handle for very light pressure, or you can hold it closer to the brush tip and even put your finger on the brush for much harder pressure and for laying down more ink. So they are a lovely tool to use. They just feel really nice. They're nicely weighted. So how do they actually work? Well, here is an ink pad. Here's a scrap of card. Let's use Calypso Coral because that's what I've got. So to get the ink onto the brush, you can either tap it or you can rub it across like that. And then, as I always would, whether I was using a piece of sponge or a finger dauber, and I do the same with the brushes, I just try it on my paper first, on a bit of scrap paper, just to make sure that I haven't inadvertently got a very dark lump there and that's going to blob, and I haven't. That's actually very pale, so I am going to take a little bit extra on there. Let's just try it again. Okay, and then I start it moving off my card. So I'm just moving my hand in the air. I'm actually going to come the other side of my microphone cable, and I'm just going to go round and round and then gently make contact with the card. And those soft brushes just really, really gently smooth the ink onto the card. You can get a really, really even coating of ink. It's much more easily than with a sponge. I mean, I like sponges and I don't have too much difficulty using them, but I do know that a lot of people do, and likewise with the finger daubers, but these are just gorgeous to use. So I'm hoping you can see that. It's almost dark outside. I've got my lights on, but I'm hoping that that's showing up. If I want an ombre finish, I can add a little bit more ink on my sponge and apply it at one end of my card and then slowly move up so there's much less at the top, and I'll do that again. More ink on my brush, even more at the bottom, and not so much as I come up. And hopefully you can see that that is getting darker here and lighter there, and the more you work it, the more even the distribution of the ink becomes. And here is one that I prepared earlier, which is Pacific Point, and you can see that you can get a really lovely ombre finish on that. So some stamping over that would be beautiful. Just a word stamped on it or a word die cut would work really nicely, but obviously I could put a whole scene on there if I wanted to. Something else you can do is to take a piece of card, put a piece of post-it down on it. This I've just punched out with one of our circle punches. Then I've inked over the top just as I've shown you. I actually added a little bit more ink around the outsides and a little bit less in the centre. And then when I take that off, I've got the effect of a moon there. I did then just brush a tiny little bit of blue over because it was a very stark difference, and I thought it would be nicer if it was slightly less stark. But again, you can see you could do lots of things with that. A stamp of maybe some flying birds across there would be lovely. Maybe a couple of reeds here. That would make a lovely scene. Or some flowers stamped in black. Very quick and easy. And I'm also just going to show you a sunset as well. There we go. So I've actually got, let's turn that over, I've got some glue on that. I don't know where that came from, but it did. Alright, so let me find some sunset colours. So I've got my coral here, I've got melon mambo, and I have Highland heather. So they'll make a nice sunset. So I'm going to start off at the top of my sky, again with Calypso Coral. I'll turn it sideways because I find it easier to work that way, but this is going to be the top of my card. Ruth saying that my explanation of YouTube did make sense. Good, I'm very pleased, Ruth. So hopefully you'll find that and be able to watch what you didn't catch later on. There we are. So I've got some orange on there. Next I'm going to come in with some pink, and I'm going to start the pink almost at the bottom of the orange, so I'm going to overlap it a very little bit. So I'll try that on my paper. that looks about right. So I'm moving the brush before I hit the paper. I'm turning my card and I'm blending as I go. I'm going to put purple on the bottom of this. And then just so I've got better blending in between those two colours, I'm going to come back with my orange and just blend orange over where the pink starts. And that gives you more of a seamless join. Alright, so now I'm going to come in with Highland Heather, which is a beautiful purple. Again, let's just check that I haven't got too much ink on there. Probably not quite got enough actually. Let's get a little bit more on there. There we go. And so this time I'm going to come up to the pink and just overlap the pink a little bit. A bit more ink. So it's always better to apply the ink quite thinly, quite lightly. You can always come back and add some more, but once the ink is on there, it's on there and you can't take it off. Although it's much less likely to blob or go wrong, I think, with these brushes. They really are just lovely to use. So that's my purple on the bottom, and I'm going to then come back to go over the join between the second and the third colours. So I'm just going to come back with the pink, check I haven't got too much on there. I probably did have too much on there, so I'm glad I checked. And then I'm just going to go over the join between the pink and the purple just to blend the two a little bit more. There we are. I could probably play with that a bit more, but time is ticking on, so I'm going to stop there and shut up my ink pads and then just show you how I would complete the card. I did have a black layer cut, which I can't find. I've got one here on my other desk, which I've just reached. I think it's the same size. Yes, it is. Good. There we are. So I'll layer that on a little bit of black, which I've just cut fractionally larger than my inked piece, just so I've got a very narrow black border. Black on a card can be a bit oppressive, but I do really like it in small amounts. It can really set off a bright colour. And then perhaps a die cut, which I've die cut in black again. So that would come across there, or actually I could do it from the other side. Maybe I'll do it from the other side. That perhaps, yeah, I think I like that better. So lay that across there. And then I think I would probably just stamp some words. In fact, I might move that up a bit more, even trim off some of those top branches. Yeah, this is often how I work on a card. I just kind of, I've got some elements and I play around with them until I'm happy. There we are. And then if I stamp in there, what should we have? Can I find a stamp? You'd think I could find a stamp in my craft room, wouldn't you? Let's have a look. I'm looking for the one I had earlier where I was showing you how to fit it in, but I can't find what I've done with the box. Peaceful Moments is the one I'm looking for. I can find everything but... Oh, there it is. It was hiding under part of my big shot. There we go. So I've got thank you here. I always need thank you cards, so that's why I quite often make them. I do make birthday cards and all sorts of other cards as well, but I do make a lot of thank you cards because I always need them. Right, so now I've laid all that together, I think I'm going to put my words down here. So I've just got a Memento black ink pad. And I've stamped thank you there. Right. So then I'm going to stick this on here. Now, before I cut it out, I did put a piece of adhesive sheet on the back. If you haven't found this, it's in the annual catalogue. It's brilliant. It's like a sheet of double-sided adhesive. So you peel one side off to reveal the glue. You then stick it to your card, die cut it, and then it makes your die cut into a sticker. So now when I peel this sheet off, if you can see, I've got glue underneath. So this would be a really fiddly shape to glue down. But if I've got the adhesive sheet on it, the whole lot now is a sticker. So I can just put it wherever I want dead easily. So where did I have it? About here, I think. So I'm lining up the edge of the branch with the edge of my card, sticking this down, and then I shall just trim off the bits that extend over the edge there. So that is completely stuck down. How easy was that? Trim those bits off. Now they are all sticky on the back, so I just need to be careful that I pick them up before I lay something down, otherwise I'll have little bits of sticky black card all over everything else. I just shoot those into my bin. Okay. Right, so I'm now going to layer this onto my card, and then it's done. And will be done as well. I've overrun a little bit, so you probably didn't have anywhere to go. So hopefully it doesn't matter that I've overrun. I try and keep this to an hour, but I do say about an hour because sometimes I just talk more than I expect to. There we are. So you saw how quickly this card came together. I know I die cut the shape in advance, but I created that sunset, or is it a sunrise, very, very quickly with those beautiful ink blending brushes. Added a black die cut, a couple of black words, and that's it. That's my card done. I'll add an insert to it, but I don't need to do anything else unless I want to. So that's the ink blending brushes. I love them. Now I'm just going to very quickly cover you over and turn you up to see me, and then I can say my goodbyes to you. Gillian likes the card. Thank you, Gillian. I'm really glad that you do. I love to play with inky techniques, and ink blending is one of my absolute favourites, so I'm so happy to have these blending brushes. Oh, no, I've forgotten to take off all the reverses. You nearly got an upside down me. Okay, so let's see how that is once it settles down. Can't see me on my iPad yet, but hopefully I'm up the right way. I nearly wasn't. Oh, I am. Good, 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 good. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this very grey and chilly January afternoon. I hope you've got time to pop back tomorrow. I'll be looking at Celebration tomorrow. I will briefly page through the Celebration brochure, but mostly it's going to be about showing you samples of things I've made with some of the free Celebration products, because I managed to get my hands on some of them earlier. I don't have them all, but I do have some, and I've been having a lot of fun playing with them. So thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll hope to see you again, same time, same place tomorrow. Bye bye.